Welcome to The Edge. I want to thank you for coming. This show we're going to talk about, following what I'm saying now about subscribing and so forth. We do need your subscriptions, but what we're having to say in this next show, I think, will perhaps be a real revelation for you. It's pretty factual. Personal experiences involved in it. Thank you very much. Please subscribe.
So I have questions, man. I'm a true Christian. I'm a believer. I'm not going to show my picture. I'm going to leave my name anonymous. I know you. You know me, but I have no relation to any of these shows.
You have what?
I have no relation to any of these shows. So I want to know, what is the secrets of the Catholic Church?
The secret what?
The secrets of the Catholic Church. What do you know? You know more than most people. What are you not telling people? Why would the mafia come after you for what you know?
Well, I was told this by priests, and priests who knew me, and really, up until I got at cross purposes with the leadership of the church, a lot of young priests left the church out of fear and out of disgust from the leadership. It wasn't just, the common story, Boston Spotlight, the movie Spotlight showed how many thousands of people were transferred here, there, and everywhere, including that's in this country, in Boston, in the United States. It also happened in Venezuela and Argentina and those places. And Pope Francis in Argentina was moving priests around himself, and he admitted in the movie The Two Popes.
Moving them around for what? Pope Francis was moving around priests for what?
From being charged with pedophile behavior, and so they couldn't be arrested. The moving around was to hide them from prosecution. Bishop Nevins right here in Sarasota was at Epiphany Church down in Venice. He was moving priests around into Ireland, in and out of Ireland. They all were doing this, and anyone thinks the higher-ups weren't in on this, they're pretty naive. And it's been proven this has been going on. And the worst example of it was the situation, and I had a phone call about Pope John Paul II, and this is when I brought it out to this person, a writer of a local paper. There's a weekly paper online, and he was saying what a great man Pope John Paul II was, and I said, well, I'll tell you why he wasn't so great. There was a scandal in Mexico City, and it was brought out in the Mexican papers and not revealed in the United States at all. It was blocked, held out, and that's happened a number of times. Major news people would not bring it out, whether it was the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or whatever, and didn't bring this forward. But in Mexico, a boys' school run by an abbot called Marcel Marcellus was a stopping point for sex trafficking. And Marcel Marcellus was the abbot of the boys' school. And it blew up some years ago, maybe 5 years ago or so, and made all over the news, into Europe, into Mexico, into South America and Central America, that this school was being used as a stopping point for pedophiles to go and have sex with little boys in this boys' school. And the money that was accrued, flights were scheduled there just for people to come there. Priests, lay people, all were participating in using these boys as sex objects in Mexico City. And every year, Marcel Marcellus, the abbot, would spend his birthday time in Rome with John Paul II. Now this is probably the most scandalous individual situation that points up how corrupt the leadership of the church is, or was, and perhaps still is, that they've not done anything about it. Nonetheless, he would go there with money from those people coming to his boys' school that they paid to come there, and paid for the use of those children for sex toys. Well, there's video of John Paul II and this Marcel Marcellus hugging each other, not once a year, not 2 years, almost every year he would show up with bags of money coming from his boys' school sex traffic that was going on, sponsored effectively by the Catholic Church from the top. And so it becomes a little preposterous to know that, and this friend of mine who's a writer was saying that John Paul II was his hero, was his favorite person. I said, so why? His name was John too. I won't tell you his last name. So, as I said, his name was John, also this person, this friend of mine. I said, John, your great hero is guilty of something pretty awful. He says, what's that? And I told him, this is what I just told you, the audience. That John Paul II was basically facilitating and looking the other way and taking the money from sex trafficking that was happening in Mexico City in a boys' school run by a Catholic abbot. That's what was going on. And you have video, there's well-established video of Pope John Paul II hugging Marcellus, embracing and having birthday cakes together and all kinds of nice little celebrations. And the scandal roiled all over Mexico City, but didn't affect John Paul II whatsoever. In 1979, he went there and he told the people of South and Central America basically to go to hell. No more liberation theology. The only thing that helped the poor of Central and South America was liberation theology that took land back from the oligarchs and gave it back to the people. The South America, Central America, the land was constantly being stolen by the rich from the poor. And the only hope they had was through the missionary priests, whether it was Paulist priests or Maryknoll priests or it was Jesuit priests. All of them were helping poor people. And with a wave of the hand, with 35,000 people in an audience in Mexico City in 1979, John Paul II said, no more liberation theology. In so many words, to hell with you people. And he turned his back on them. At the same time, he was taking money from Marcellus for sex trafficking. Oh, that's the leadership. And guess what? If you already don't know, what happened to John Paul II when he died? The officials of the Catholic Church canonized him, made him into a saint, an official church saint in the Catholic Church. This is the kind of ridiculous nonsense that the Catholic Church has corrupted itself into and by. And so when you have that kind of circumstance done in that manner, what happened in the movie Spotlight and the two popes, who both admitted to this corruption in the movie The Two Popes, these films have validated in people's mind this has been going on. The sin is simply happened in the 12th century. What happened in the 12th century? The priests had to suddenly no longer be married. Up until the 12th century, priests were married. Priests were married. Followers of Christ were married. So what's this thing about not letting priests marry? It's called celibacy. Why do they need it? Because you don't want to have children inheriting money from their father, the priest. What is that? The church wanted their money and their inheritance when they died. This is how ridiculous and absolutely grubbing and low the Catholic Church is at the top end. I'm going to cut it off right now, but that's a